Hey everybody, it's Madalyn Sklar, the host of the Social ROI Chat, and I'm here with Aaron Agius, our guest today on the chat. Hey Aaron, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, that was a really great chat today. Boy, you just shared a lot of great information. Very impressive. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background.
Sure. Yeah, look, it's hard to share as much information as I wanted within 140 characters, but
Yeah.
I'm glad there was value. So a bit about my background. So I co-founded and am managing director of Louder Online. We're a search and content marketing agency. We pretty much look after medium to enterprise size clients globally. So working with Salesforce, Intel, IBM, Coca-Cola, some big companies there. Our whole job is driving traffic, leads, and sales to businesses, and we do that through great content, through SEO, through pay-per-click, through whatever works for those individual clients.
That's awesome. And you have a podcast, is that right?
We do, yeah. It's called the Growth Mapping Podcast, and I do that with Sujan Patel, who's a very well-known marketer from the US, good friend, and yeah, we have a bit of fun. We're able to have a laugh at each other on the podcast, and be able to share some insights. He actually runs a directly competing agency out of the US, and so I think it's a unique sort of situation for us both to share insights as to what we do in our agencies, and it's interesting as to the overlap and how similar what we do is actually.
That is so cool. I know exactly who that is, and he is pretty popular over here in the States. I think that's great you guys are doing that together. I want to do a big shout out hello to our live audience. We've got Joe's here, Aaron, and she says it's a professional page, Media Made of Central Florida. I don't know who that is, so maybe you can post your name so we know who it is. But it's so great to see people here with us joining in. If anybody has a question, feel free to post it over in the comments and we will see it live and we can address it. And if you're watching the recap, you could always ask. And it's Aaron Johnson. Hi, Aaron. Okay. I thought I recognized, I just see a little tiny profile picture there. And I was like, that looks like Aaron from the chat. So our topic today on the chat was content marketing, tips, tricks, and best practices. And you shared a lot of great advice, Aaron. One of the things that we were talking about, I'm just going to pull up a couple of the questions here. One of the things that I thought was interesting is talking about the average piece of content, like what should be the size of it. And you hear people giving out different bits of advice, and you were saying 1,500 to 2,000 words. What's your experience been with that?
The reason that we do that is for a very sort of data-backed reason. Whenever we take on a new client, we do big audits of their existing editorial content and their blogs, and we're pulling in information from analytics, from social data, links data, and we're also scraping the blog and pulling in comments and author titles and so many different things. And what we do with that data is we come out and say, well, look, there's lots of great insights that come out. So this author's creating great content compared to everyone else. Publishing on these days does better than publishing on these other days. Content of this length performs better. And so we're able to find that sweet spot. And almost always anything above 1,500 to 2,000 words outperforms in terms of engagement, social shares, and links. And traffic and so many other things. So our sweet spot is in making sure we're always hitting that as a minimum. And having said that, it's not just about throwing words on a page. It's obviously got to be of value. We just find that even if people aren't reading all of the content, it's linked to and shared socially more than shorter form pieces.
Interesting. Now, can that vary by industries, or has that just been a pretty much general across the board?
We've found that in every industry that we've done. The only exception is like news sites where they're doing short snippets of information that's getting shared. But having said that, they already have a huge audience. So it's a pre-built audience that is going to automatically share that content. So it doesn't match exactly with what we're saying here. We're looking at it from how do we build an audience, and a new audience as opposed to speaking to an existing one.
Right. And then one of the things that we also talked about was like breaking up the content so that, of course, when you see an article that's just a bunch of text, it's hard to read, and breaking it up with, I see a lot of subtitles, bullet points. What are different things we can do to really liven it up to keep people's interests?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Definitely all that breaking up in short paragraphs. People are skimming content on mobile devices and making sure that you're catching their eyes wherever you can, keeping their eyes interested. That's really important. I think when people skim content as well, you're typically reading the first and last sentence of each paragraph. So if you're just doing shorter paragraphs, you're getting them stopping and using their eyes on more of your content. Some great images, making sure that you're using a narrative so people are actually reading a story and unable to leave without finishing that story. There's loads of things you can do like that.
That's cool. Okay. And one of the questions we asked was there an ideal time to post a blog article online? I loved your answer. Ideal, it's yesterday. Can you expand on that? This is what I love about being able to do the live stream, is that you gave your 140 character answer, but now we can go beyond that. Yeah,
good. Yesterday, so create as much content as you can that's highly valuable. That was pretty much the point that I was getting to. In terms of best time, it's going to vary based on the existing audience that you have, your industry, where you are in the world, who you're targeting, a million different things. Someone saying these days usually performs better than these days. I never buy into that. It's have a look at what data you're currently getting and double down on what's working.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I remember years back, like when it came to newsletters, they said, send it out on Tuesdays. Like Tuesday is the best day because you don't want to do Monday. People are just coming back to work. You don't want to wait till Wednesday or Friday. People are looking at the weekend, and Tuesday was ideal. But I'm finding it interesting that some people are doing Sunday, because who gets newsletters on Sundays, and like trying to figure out and experiment what days work for different types of content.
Yeah, I've found the exact same thing, and it's right. A lot of people are seeing success sending out info on the weekend because it cuts through the noise, and you get some dad sitting in the park watching his kids running around, and he's sitting there playing on his phone and skimming through your email, so it gets more of a read. I get it, but it'll vary for everyone. Look at your own data.
Yeah, I always say experiment and see what works best. Erin here was saying, when we were backing up and talking about the previous question, she was saying clients who want a ton of info in their ads and it becomes infographic-y. What's your advice on explaining sometimes less is more? That's a good one.
I guess I kind of need a bit of clarification. Info in their ads, what sort of ads are we talking about here?
Well, I'm assuming she's talking about, when she's saying kind of infographic-y, like it must be ads with just a lot of information in there, and that really less is more. Maybe she can clarify that for us in just a second here. But that's my takeaway from it, is just ads that just have a lot of like just too much overload information and just going with the less. Ads, here she goes, ads with a ton of product information, for example.
Yeah, okay. When we're talking about product information, it's people thinking that they have to give all of what the product does as opposed to the benefits to people. And immediately when you're switching to the benefits and how it changes their life, it's a whole lot different to information about the product, and it's not as dry, and it's actually going to be impactful. How you can use it and how that impacts your life in a positive way. That's when we're speaking with e-commerce clients. That's what we're telling them to do with their product listings on different websites. They're always using manufacturers' product descriptions, and it's just unenticing. That's your opportunity to sell to people, and so sell with the benefits and how it impacts your life in a positive way and touch on emotion, and that's where you win.
Absolutely. And one of the other things we talked about earlier was maintaining readers' attention for the duration of an article. What do you think about doing things like, having video in the article or GIFs? I'm starting to see a lot of people doing GIFs into newsletters and articles just to grab your attention to what's being said. What's your thought on that?
It's similar to what we were saying before. You've got to keep the eyes interested as well, and moving parts are fantastic for that. I think loads of different images, screenshots, examples, videos, whatever sort of media you can put in there that keeps it interesting is fantastic. Having said that, I absolutely love text copy and written content, and the search engines love it as well, and it provides context for what the media is in the eyes of the search engines. So as long as there's always that text copy there as well, then I think it's going to be a winning piece.
Absolutely. And the last question we talked about were tools. I love talking about tools. Now, you named off a whole bunch. Because like you said, BuzzSumo, Ahrefs, Google Sheets, Outbrain, so many. If you had to pick just one out of all of them, what is like your top go-to?
That's easy for me, and I think it'll be something that not a lot of people would say, but that's Google Sheets.
Really?
Yeah, the reason behind that is because you can create whatever tools you want through Google Sheets that scrape websites, that pull API data from places like BuzzSumo and Ahrefs and all these other places. So it's a central point where you're able to pull in all this information and be able to collate all the data and manipulate it in ways that are beneficial to you. And a big part of what we do for clients is a content strategy piece where we have done exactly that. We've built out a massive suite of tools that provide ongoing value for data analysis, idea generation, planning, scheduling, and so much more.
That's great. Aaron, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on for a few minutes, giving us that, going beyond the 140 characters, as I like to call it, and giving your explanation to some of these questions. What is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Find me on LinkedIn. I'm there. Find me at louder.online or on Twitter at I am Aaron Agius.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aaron. This has been so great. And we'll be back next week, everybody, for another awesome Twitter chat. Until next time, we'll see you. Bye, Thanks, everybody. Okay.